Tech and clips.
Yeah. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So, Marc Martel performing Frank Sinatra's "My Way." Yes, I've already reacted to this song. Happens to be one of my favorites in the songs from Frank Sinatra. So I'm super excited to to hear what Marc Martel also has to say about the song. Let's take a listen, guys.
Well, here's a song I like. And now the end is near,
Okay.
and so I face the final curtain.
Let's go.
My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exception. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, well, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows, and through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way.
Yeah. Okay, so My Way covers album available on all streaming platforms. Wow, okay. Guys, so Marc Martel performing My Way, originally by Frank Sinatra. Like I said from the beginning, I have already reacted to the original, on the channel, that is. And that version, is, of course, iconic. Frank Sinatra's voice, definitely carried so much authority, so much swagger, and lived experience. Going into Marc Martel's cover, I was definitely curious. How do you approach a song that's so deeply tied to Frank's legacy, without either imitating him, too closely, or staying too far away. Guys, this was something else. This performance was just beautiful. Right from the start. I love how Mark, showed us, that he's not trying to be Frank Sinatra. He is bringing his own artistry. His tone is cleaner, his tone is brighter, and a bit more contemporary. But this man still captures the storytelling essence. That makes this song My Way so powerful. There is a reverence in the way he phrases the lines. Almost like he's honoring the tradition of the song, while still making it personal. Vocally, Mark, is in a league of his own. I have to say that's just right off the bat. I mean, we all know, from his uncanny, Freddie Mercury style performances. But here, personally, I love how he stripped away the theatrics, and gave us, pure, sincerity. His control on those sustained notes, and especially towards the climax, to me was breathtaking. I love the fact that he doesn't oversing. It's tasteful. It's controlled and deeply emotional. Instrumentally, this cover definitely, keeps it classic. The arrangements definitely leans into that grand, timeless feel with piano and a bit of orchestral touches. That I feel like an echo Frank Sinatra's original, but it's not way down. It feels fresh and polished. It definitely lets Mark's voice shine without trying to reinvent the wheel. What struck me the most after listening to this song is how Mark tells the story. My Way, it's a song about reflection, about standing, at the end of a journey, and looking back, with so much pride and with no regrets. Frank Sinatra, sang it, from a place of, experience, and I feel like Mark, was able to sing it, with a kind of vibe, a universal sort of, relatability. I don't know if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like imitation. Definitely feels like someone channeling the song's spirits into their own lives narrative. Yeah, in comparison to Frank Sinatra's version, which has that smoky world, worry, wisdom. Mark's rendition is smoother, perhaps more uplifting, in tone, and to me, that is what makes this cover work. It definitely respects the original while also offering something entirely new. Yeah, I'll give this a hard 9 out of 10. That's just me. Marc Martel, as always, this man has once again proved, he's more than just a great voice. He's a great interpreter. Covering Frank Sinatra, is no small feat if you ask me personally. But this man manages to deliver something, both respectful and refreshing. So yeah, if you're a fan of the original, you definitely appreciate the homage. If you are hearing My Way, for the first time, through Mark, I feel like, this is definitely going to hit you as hard. So yeah, what about you guys? Do you prefer, the grit and gravitas of Frank Sinatra's original, or the polished emotional delivery, Marc Martel, brings here? Drop your thoughts, down below. Let me know if, you want me to keep going with Marc Martel and his covers. I'll be so glad to do just that. If you stuck with me to the end of the video, I love you very much. I appreciate it on here. My name is Philip, and on to the next video. Take care, stay safe. Peace out.